sort of, you know, none of this was planned. But you've immediately set up, I think, our first question, which is really wonderful. Claudia and I are going to have a conversation, and but I'm going to ask her probably many more questions than she's going to ask me, because that's what I was prepared for. But we will have a conversation about where we are. One of the first things that really surprised me when I read Citizens, looked at Citizens, this wonderful book. I think many of you know it. Was that it almost acts as an illustrated manuscript, and that there is a sort of deep visual thinking that is connected to your writing. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about how you came to use visual images in your work. I think not only in Citizens, but also Don't Let Me Be Lonely is also illustrated with visual material, this sort of deep visual thinking. And then how you came to select the work and the specific artists that are involved in Citizens and in Don't Let Me Be Lonely. What's your sort of thinking around this sort of visuality?
Well, first I want to say that we are sisters. Thank you, Elizabeth, for that wonderful introduction. I say it casually, but I mean it deeply, that Carrie Weems' work has been part of my life for as long as I've had a thinking life. And you know that because you're in Citizen. I have proof of this. Thank you so much. Because you have been doing the work a little longer than I have. The visual aspect of Citizen seemed necessary to me because even though racism is, as we all know, structural inside this great country that we live in, it's often triggered by the visual. We can be conducting ourselves on the telephone in ways that seem normal. And then you arrive in the room and you become the black person, the black body. And that black body then has to be readjusted too. And it seemed to me that visual artists like yourself were dealing with this in ways even before writers stepped into negotiating the mere materiality of that color, the color of things. And so I wanted the book to have periods of rest that did not allow for escape. And so I thought, how do I create white space that isn't white space? And that led me to your work, to David Hammond's, to Glenn Lincoln. I was also interested in artists who were interested in appropriating moments in the culture and rereading them, reframing them, and bringing them forward into their reality.
What do you mean by that?
Well, for instance,
reframing.
Reframing. Well, to take an image, we can think of your use of the images of black people, where you then wrote, headings like "She was the house mistress," or "She," not exactly that, but the series, the Harvard series.
Yes,
that was